SolidWorks 2012 has many new tools to help manage and work with assembly data. Let's start with opening this assembly. You may have moved some files or received part of an assembly from a client. If the assembly is opened and references are not found, you were previously prompted to tell SolidWorks where each missing file was. SolidWorks 2012 saves you time by adding those locations you select to the reference search. This means that other files that reside elsewhere can be found without manual work. When working with designs of multiple sizes, it can be frustrating if you need to edit a dimension of a configuration that is not active or last saved. SolidWorks 2012 allows you to edit any dimension independent of the active configuration, no longer requiring the user to open the part and change the active config. Here, I have changed the active configuration to 400mm, but this causes no problems when going back to the assembly to make changes to the 200mm version. Here, making a change from 41 to 55 was easy, with no workarounds needed. In moving the assembly and investigating the assembly structure, you can see that this cylinder is part of a flexible subassembly. In previous versions of SolidWorks, you could only edit a part if the subassembly was rigid. You can now edit any component that is part of a flexible subassembly without limitation, allowing for quicker and more intuitive design changes. SmartMate technology in SolidWorks rapidly speeds up the creation of common mate relationships, and by simply holding down the Alt key allows you to create assemblies in no time at all. SolidWorks 2012 adds a slight time delay that makes the tool much more predictable, meaning that parts don't flip around when moving around the assembly. Also, if you forget to hold down the Alt key before selecting the part, it is no problem. You can now invoke the SmartMate technology by holding down the Alt key at any time. Taking a look at the rear plate, we may want to open it and make a design change. In this case, adding a cutout to reduce weight. But however, it is quite possible that you then decide you no longer wish to keep that change and want to go back to the assembly without saving the design. New in SolidWorks 2012 is the option to close and not keep changes in the open assembly. This means that you no longer have to reload the component to remove those changes. Good assembly management is key to working with designs in an efficient way. Previously, if you wanted to add a folder to organise the assembly tree, all components and mates you added to that folder had to be sequential. SolidWorks 2012 gives you the control and allows you to group any components or mates into folders without having to worry about their place in the assembly tree. Creation of subassemblies has been made easier too. Selecting parts graphically now allows for subassembly creation, making it much easier to group parts together and form logical assembly groups. You may have noticed during this presentation how fast I've been able to hide and show components. This is the new Tab to Hide tool in SolidWorks 2012. Taking the much valued idea from 3D Composer, you can simply hide a component by pressing Tab, or bring it back by pressing Shift Tab. You can also hold down the Tab key, and whilst moving over parts, any part that's underneath the mouse cursor will automatically hide, or with Shift Tab will automatically come back into view. Working with assemblies has never been easier and more intuitive than in SolidWorks 2012.